$1,000. Not the deposit, the whole price. On a Detroit house with a roof, 4 walls, and a front door that still locks. The buyer staring at that listing had $5,200 saved and 0 rentals. 12 months later, he held the deeds to 3 of these houses, all in for under $60,000. And no, he wasn't rich, and no, he didn't get lucky. He used one city program, followed one rule almost everybody ignores, and budgeted for the cost that never shows up on the listing page. 3 houses, 1 year, 1 discipline plan. Let's walk through exactly how, starting with house number 1 and the deadline that can take the house right back. That listing was real, and it came off the Detroit Land Bank, the city program that sells these Detroit houses to ordinary people, not hedge funds. And before we go one step further, let me say the plain thing. This is educational only, and it is not legal or financial advice. Real estate laws and program rules vary by state and city, and they change over time. So confirm the current rules with the land bank before you ever place a bid. Now, who am I to walk you through this? I'm Dan, and I still live in my own little starter home, researching my first rental right now, same as some of you. I'm not the guy in this story. I'm the guy who walks these neighborhoods on a Saturday, and I read inspection reports for fun. I drive an older pickup, nothing leased or fancy. I'm the contractor at the coffee shop, who actually reads the fine print before he gets excited. And I do get excited about cheap houses, because almost everybody does. You see $1,000 on a screen, and something in your chest jumps. A whole house, for the price of a used couch. That feeling is real, and it is not stupid. Detroit really does have sub-$20,000 inventory sitting on that platform today, so the dream isn't fake. But here's where most people get hurt. The sticker is the smallest number in the whole deal, and the $1,000 price is the bait, not the cost. The part nobody budgets for is the exact part that decides whether you build wealth or lose your savings. My older brother taught me that the hard way, because back in 2007 he lost $43,000 on a flip when he fell in love with a price and ignored everything underneath it. I watched it happen up close, and I'm not letting it happen to you. So let's walk the real story, house by house. Picture this. Our buyer wins house number 1 at auction. Bidding on those auction houses opens daily. Bids start at $1,000, and the house sells as is. He wins it for right around $1,000, and he's thrilled. He's also about to learn what as is really means. First, the costs that show up immediately. Closing and title run him about $800 in round numbers, covering a small closing fee, a recording charge, a tax certification, and title insurance. Then there's a city inspection fee, about $300 on a 1-unit house. Already the $1,000 house is really a $2,000 house, and he hasn't fixed a single thing yet. Then the clock starts, and this is the rule almost everybody ignores. When you buy through the land bank, you don't just own a house, you own a compliance schedule. Within 15 days of closing, you upload exterior photos showing the whole structure, a maintained yard, and secured openings. Within 45 days, you upload your first progress photos and file a property transfer affidavit. Within 60 days, auction and own it now buyers upload proof of a Detroit Water and Sewerage Department account. After that, expect progress photos every 30 to 45 days, following the compliance team's instructions. Here is why that schedule matters so much. If you don't show progress, they can take the house back. It's called reconveyance, and it's real, because the land bank can reconvey the property if you stall or don't finish in time. The exact universal deadline isn't one published number, so don't trust anyone who quotes you a hard figure. Think of it as a window the city measures in months, not years, and confirm the current clock with the land bank yourself. So our buyer is on the clock, and he starts the rehab. He tackled the furnace, the water heater, the kitchen, and the bathroom, one system at a time, doing what he could with his own 2 hands. And then the gut punch landed. Here's the real cost pivot, the thing that nearly broke the whole plan. The water service line was dead. The pipe in the ground, the one that connects the house to the city water, was shot, and reconnecting a damaged water service line can run more than $10,000 all by itself. Not the kitchen, not the furnace, but a pipe you can't even see. That single line was the biggest number on House 1, and it's the cost almost nobody puts in their spreadsheet. Let that sink in for a second. The house was $1,000, and the pipe to make it legally livable cost 10 times that. This is exactly why I keep saying the sticker lies. So what did House 1 actually cost, all in? Roughly $22,000 to get fully compliant and rented. And I need you to hear one word right now: illustrative. That $22,000 is illustrative, because rehab numbers swing enormously. A rough, distressed house can run anywhere from roughly $25,000 to $75,000 or more to truly finish. House 1 stayed near 22 only because of heavy sweat equity and a buyer who refused to hire out what he could learn to do himself. But it got done. Good exterior, no boards on the openings, a maintained yard, a working furnace, a working water heater, a functional kitchen, a functional bathroom, and active utilities. He passed his inspection, and he passed the compliance walkthrough. And that walkthrough is more than a quick glance, because the city is confirming the structure is genuinely secured, that the photos he filed match the real condition on the ground, that the yard is maintained, that the openings are sealed against weather and trespass, and that the utilities he claimed are truly live. The inspector checks the furnace fires, the water runs, and the bathroom functions, and only then does the land bank release its interest. The deed came back clean, and House 1 was a rental. Now stop and feel that. He started with $5,200 and one terrifying water line, and he came out the other side with a real, rented house. It was not easy, and he probably almost quit more than once, but he had a door that paid him now. And about that rent, let me be honest with you. Detroit rents average around $1,150 a month, across all types, per Zillow's Detroit market data. But that's an average across a huge range, and what your specific house rents for depends on the block, the beds and baths, and the condition. I can't promise you a number, and neither can anyone honest. If you go the Section 8 route, the Housing Choice Voucher payment standards are based on HUD fair market rents, set around 110% of those published rents, but the rent still has to pass a reasonableness review. So don't lock a specific voucher figure into your dreams. House 1 is rented, so watch what the rent does next. That cash flow becomes the seed for House 2, and this is the chain reaction. House 1 doesn't just pay our buyer, it funds his next move. And this time, he's not a rookie, because he's a man who got punched by a water line and lived to bid again. So how does he pick House 2? Differently, and a lot smarter. Before he bids on anything, he asks the question he didn't know to ask the first time, which is the one about the water service line. He checks for it, and he looks for signs the systems are intact. He digs into whether the property carries delinquent taxes, old water bills, or liens. Because those follow the house, not the old owner. He learned the hard way that you can inherit somebody else's debt right along with your dollar house. And because he chose carefully, House 2 went smoother. He avoided the waterline trap entirely, and he found a place with more of its bones intact. He hit his 15-day photos, his 45-day affidavit, and his 60-day water account, all on time, because now he knew the rhythm. He also walked the block before bidding, checked the roofline for sag, ran the basement for standing water, and confirmed the meter situation so no surprise drainage charges could ambush him. He pulled the tax history, asked a neighbor how long the place had sat empty, and priced the furnace and the heater before he ever raised his hand to bid. House 2 came in around $19,000 all in, illustrative again, and that's cheaper than House 1. Not because Detroit got cheaper, but because he got better. And right here is where this stops being a story about cheap houses, because something quiet was happening across these two deals. Something was making the buyer stronger every single time, and I call it the Compliance Flywheel. Here's what it actually is. Every house he completed built an engine he could reuse on the next one. First, a track record with the city. When the compliance team sees a buyer who hits every photo deadline and finishes clean, that buyer becomes known, trusted, and smooth. Second, reusable rehab systems, because the second furnace install is faster than the first, and the second water heater and the second bathroom go quicker too. Third, recycled rent, because House 1's cash flow funds House 2 and 3, so he's not draining his savings over and over. And fourth, a contractor bench, because the plumber who saved him on the water line is now a name in his phone, and the inspector already knows his work. Track record, reusable systems, recycled rent, and contractor relationships. That is the Compliance Flywheel, and it's the whole secret. Here's the thing about a flywheel. It spins faster the more you push it. House 1 was a fight, House 2 was a process, and House 3 was almost easy. Think about it this way. The viewer who clicks one of these listings sees a cheap house. What our buyer saw by House 3 was a machine he already knew how to run. The city trusted him, his contractors picked up the phone, and his rent covered his costs. He wasn't starting over, he was adding a third room to a house he'd already built. So House 3 landed fastest and cheapest, around $18,000 all in, illustrative. He reused his systems, leaned on known contractors, and brought a proven compliance record that made the city walk through a formality instead of a fear. He knew which photos the team wanted and when. He had the water account opened before they asked, and he handed over a clean file the first time. The flywheel did exactly what a flywheel does. Let me put the hard numbers on the table now, because belief comes from arithmetic, not hype. House 1 ran about $22,000, House 2 about $19,000, and House 3 about $18,000. That lands somewhere around $58,000 to $59,000 across the whole year, which keeps the total under $60,000. It was funded by the $5,200 start, plus recycled rent from House 1, plus a brutal amount of sweat equity, plus a small renovation line he stretched like a magician. And I have to be straight with you about what that under $60,000 number means. It is not 3 turnkey, finished, perfect homes. It's the all-in cash he deployed to acquire all 3, to get House 1 fully compliant and rented, and to get Houses 2 and 3 secured and into functional compliance. There is a real difference there, and pretending otherwise is how people get hurt. Now hear me clearly on this. A $5,000 buyer cannot realistically buy, fully rehab, and stabilize 3 Detroit houses in a year on cash alone. The real bottleneck is the rehab, the compliance, the utilities, the title and closing, and the back taxes and liens. The only reason this story works is sweat equity, recycled rent, and discipline. And it could have gone the other way, because if House 1's water line had been worse, that $22,000 could have been $35,000. This is one disciplined path, and it is not a guarantee. So what's the honest plan for you? One house, first, fully done, before you even think about a second. The buyer in this story is the rare exception who chained 3, because he treated the first one like a final exam. Most people should run one house all the way to a clean deed and a paying tenant, and learn everything they can before they ever scale. Now, does this travel to other cities? Yes, in spirit, because Detroit isn't the only city running a land bank. There are land bank-style programs in places like Cleveland, Gary, and the St. Louis area, each with its own rules, its own clocks, and its own quirks. I'm not promising any of them work the same way, and that matters, because the deadline that's lenient in one city can be brutal in another, and a program that allows sweat equity in one place may demand licensed contractors somewhere else. The dollar prices differ too, and so do the back tax rules and the inspection standards. But the playbook itself travels everywhere. Budget for the invisible costs, respect the compliance clock, and build a flywheel. And that approach works anywhere. Distressed houses are sold cheap with strings attached. The city changes, but the discipline does not. Now picture the scale of what's out there, in hedged terms. Detroit's Land Review has noted the land bank sold more than 23,000 side lots and had thousands of lots listed. That's not a transaction promise, it's just proof the inventory runs deep. There's a lot of dirt and a lot of structures moving through this system. And yes, there are also side lots for $100 to adjacent homeowners, and neighborhood lots for $250 within 500 feet. But that's a different game from the rental houses, so I'll leave it as a footnote. So how do you actually start? Let me make it concrete. First, go to the land bank's own site and read the compliance requirements before you read a single listing, because the rules are the deal and the house is just the asset. Second, budget for the costs that never show up on the listing page. The water service line is that $10,000 ghost. The closing costs run about $800 and the city inspection about $300. And here's a sneaky one, because monthly drainage charges apply after closing even if you have no active water service. The meter being off does not mean the bill is off. Third, check for delinquent taxes, old water bills, and liens before you bid, because every one of those rides, along with the property, and lands on you. Fourth, line up your inspection path early. Auction houses need a B-seed inspection, while Own It Now houses need a preliminary inspection report, so know which one applies before you commit. Fifth, and this is the one that matters most, start with one house, Just one. Run it all the way to a clean deed and a paying tenant, and build your first piece of the flywheel. Here's the part I love about this program, and the reason I keep coming back to these neighborhoods on my Saturdays. It does not reward a fat bank account. It rewards follow-through. The land bank isn't looking for the richest buyer. It's looking for the one who shows up, hits the photo deadlines, fixes the furnace, and finishes the job. That's a game a disciplined first-timer can actually win. Think about what that really means for you. You don't need to be rich, and you don't need connections. You need to read the rules, budget for the pipe, and do what you said you'd do, on time, 3 times in a row. That's it, and that's the whole edge. The richest buyer in the room loses this game if he ghosts the photo deadlines, and the broke first-timer wins it if he simply keeps his word to the city. That is the one rule that quietly decides everything, and almost nobody treats it as the main event. So where did our buyer land? 3 secured doors, real but modest, with rent in the neighborhood of the Detroit average, hedged, because the block and the condition decide the rest. He's not on a yacht. He's a regular guy with 3 houses he built with his own hands and his discipline, starting from $5,200 and a listing that scared him. And here's what I want you to carry out of this. The cheap house is real, the hidden cost is real, and the deadline that takes it back is real. But so is the path. The flywheel is real, and it starts spinning the moment you finish your first house clean. You could open that land bank site this week, and you could read the compliance page tonight. You don't need 3 houses, you need 1. 1 door, done right, paid for honestly, on time. Get that first one spinning, and the city starts to know your name. And me? I'll be out walking the neighborhoods, reading the inspection reports, getting ready for my own first one. Right there with you.